Is Silent Hill scary? Sure, but not as terrifying as what I thought it was going to be. It's unnerving, creepy, the other side of the horror coin. Silent Hill prolongs all its tension, absorbing you into the dread, attacking your senses in other, more creative ways. It meanders around like it never settles. I kept expecting a jump scare, but it never really happened. Okay, maybe once or twice. It's like the game wanted to keep me on edge. It's pure atmosphere. Harry Mason and his adopted daughter Cheryl are venturing to Silent Hill on vacation. They are split up in a car crash, and our man Harry is led through the unassuming, quiet, snowy town by a little girl he believes to be Cheryl. He wanders down an alleyway littered with carcasses, bloody gurneys, and a corpse strung up on a fence. This is not your average game of hide and seek. No, this is only the beginning of the nightmare. For Silent Hill is plagued with creatures, strange people, and fog. And Harry has to drag himself through it all to find his daughter. And it only gets more twisted from here on in. This game is weird. Atmospherically, Silent Hill is mostly a silent hell. Music can be very sparse, which accentuates every gunshot, every creaky door, and every moaning creature in the darkness. When the music does play, especially in action sequences and cutscenes, it's otherworldly, discordant, percussive, and having that all interspersed with that infamous radio interference and wailing sirens makes for one of the most foreboding auditory experiences in video games. Until any of the characters speak.
It's dangerous out there.
In that case, I need to find her now. Cheryl's my little girl.
Yeah, there's nothing scarier than Silent Hill's voice acting. Whilst the locations were a bit tropey, school, motel, shopping mall, abandoned theme park, they all have this bleak liminal aura. Places that should be teeming with life, but are now infested with monsters. So, I'm not particularly keen on hospitals, personally. How do you think I felt running around a creepy, rusted, decaying hospital full of zombified nurses and disorientating pathways? I actually thought the otherworld portions of the game were really well done. I was left actively wanting to get back to the non-nightmare sections as soon as possible, only to be wrenched back into the mesh-covered dank over and over again. The extended periods of Harry being by himself gives this horrible sense of isolation, and when you do meet other people, and there aren't a lot of them, you really feel like you should be keeping them at arm's length. Who can you trust? The doctor with a drug problem? The nurse with a personal space problem? The old lady with a bell ringing problem? Thankfully, police officer Sybil Bennett is a welcome sight for sore eyes, even if she does only turn up a handful of times. Apart from that time she goes full Mr. Flibble.
Game over, boys.
The overarching story is compelling, if a little bit too cryptic. Cultists, drugs, demons, apocalypses. They're all a common theme, and they all revolve around a single tortured soul that is linked to Harry's daughter. Like I say, it kind of meanders around. I've seen debates about how the game hasn't aged well. To a certain degree, I do agree. Some of the puzzles can be quite tricky. I had to get Kat to solve the iconic piano puzzle for me. We solved it together! And some of the items needed to progress could be hard to find. The controls are a bit hard to get to grips with, and the camera does have a mind of its own. I suppose the wonkiness adds to that tension as you run around every nook, trying to find the next piece of the puzzle before the next zombie child gets you. And we all know that the game proudly wears its limitations well. The perpetual fog and darkness hides many monsters, including the 1990s render distance. It gives you a sense of never knowing what on earth is happening beyond that initial field of vision. What impressed me most, though, is that Silent Hill is an old game that doesn't particularly feel like an old game. It plays like an old game, sure, but you can see how it has shaped modern horror titles with its presentation. No head-up display, branching paths, nicely detailed environments, multiple endings prompting more playthroughs. I came to the conclusion that it's the ideal game to play at night, in the dark, with all the lights off. I went into Silent Hill expecting a terrifying edge of my seat experience. I'm kind of thankful it was a bit more... sedate is the term I want to use, but I don't think it fits. It's apprehensive, uncomfortable, but not unmanageable. It meant it could pull me further in and experience it all, and that is possibly just as terrifying. Many thanks go to my friend Tony, who lent me his copy of Silent Hill. He has a YouTube channel too. It's called How Do Game, and I'll be very thankful, and I'm sure he would be very thankful too, if you go check out his stuff. There's a link in the description.